So welcome to another yoga class, and today you might need to have a block, strap, maybe something nice for the knees, and just be aware that you're doing this yoga practice class at your own risk. Be mindful of the environment you set yourself up with at home, that you're not going to knock anything over, etc. And anything you're not comfortable doing, please don't do. If you've got injuries, etc., modify. I will give some modifications, so listen to what you need to do to look after yourself. Today we're going to be focusing on stillness in some of our postures and working the legs a bit and upper body. So if you want to start by lying down, and you might want to have a strap within easy reach, and you can either have the knees bent, or if you prefer, you can have the legs out. We'll just find that stillness for a moment, observing how the body feels lying on the floor, how easy or hard it might feel to just be still. And be aware of that movement of the breath. And aware that there's also those little pauses or spaces between the inhale and the exhale. So being aware of that pause after the inhale, and then after the exhale there's a little pause as well. And in those pauses we have stillness in the body. So on your next breath in, let's take a nice big stretch overhead. So we're going to inhale, point our way through the toes, reach out through the fingers, maybe a little bit of arch through the spine, and then on the exhale we'll release and soften. As we next breathe in, pull the toes back, so reach out through the heels this time. Big stretch, and let it go. All right, then we're going to slide the feet in, bending the knees. Really take time just to flatten the back out along the floor, and then hopefully you've got your strap of some sort within easy reach. And we're going to place it loosely around the foot, just so that we can point and flex that foot up and down a few times, feeling the back of the leg. And then from here, maybe a couple of little circles into the ankle joint, the other way. Awesome. And then finding a comfortable position with the hands. So you can hold on, let the arms hang. You could rest the elbows on the floor, or my favourite is wrapping the strap around the hands and just letting them hang. So looking at trying to get that right leg pretty straight, finding the point where we get a little bit of sensation in the back of the leg and also in the buttocks. And then once you've found that position where you can not grit the teeth but feel something, can you be still? Can you resist the urge to fidget? And as we spend a bit of time in this stretch, you might find that you could ease it a little bit closer, find a new edge, and then come back to that stillness. Now, to go a little deeper into the lower back glute muscles, we're going to slightly rotate this right leg out. So my knee's now pointing off, away from my shoulder. And then we'll bend the right knee, Either reaching up, holding onto the foot if that's possible, but keeping the heel over the knee joint so you can see the foot's pointing up to the ceiling there. If it's a bit tricky, you can stay holding onto the strap, or you could also just hug that right thigh in. But I'm trying to avoid my rib cage, so my knee's going off to the side there, and then let your left knee relax to the left side so that it keeps that pelvis pretty level here on the floor. Once all that's set up, again, just be still. Resist the urge to move. Notice what the brain is doing, what the mind is focusing on. Now you can stay here, or maybe extend that left leg out if that's comfortable. And we get this big opening in that lower back, buttock muscles, still hamstrings. Try and relax that right shoulder down. And then sliding that left foot back in. Let's release the right foot back to the floor. And then extend both legs out and observe the difference between the right side and the left side. And then a little shake out. Okay, so we'll bend both knees. Place the strap around the left foot, but just loose so that we can do a couple little foot pumps up and down. Maybe there's some creaking, cracking in the joints. We'll rotate round. And then we'll go the other way. Fabulous. And then finding that comfortable position with the arms and making sure that we've got a nice straight left leg. So I'm looking for that edge of stretch, feeling it in the back of that whole left leg, but not to the point where I'm going to start to, add tension to my face. So once I got that position, we hold. We find that stillness. And while we keep the stillness in the body, just observe where your mind is trying to take you. Does it wander off into other thoughts? Is it fighting the stretch? Is it telling you it's too strong, too easy? We have a bit of time, it might have eased off. You could take a little bit closer. And then we'll rotate that left leg out just a little bit to the side, so that now when I bend into my left knee, the thighs avoiding the rib cage, and if you find it tricky to hold onto the foot with the heel over the knee, readjust with the strap or hold behind the back of the leg. And let that right knee relax to the right side, so pelvis level on the floor. And soften the left shoulder to the ground. And be still, relax. You may even want to close your eyes to limit the movement in the eyelids. And if you find that your mind is racing around, give it a job, focus on the breath. Even give it a little mantra, I am breathing in, I am breathing out. So we use mantras to quieten the mind. And it can be any word or phrase. Maybe extend that right leg out along the floor. And then we'll ease back out. So we're going to bend the right knee first. Relax the left foot down. Again, both legs out along the ground. Compare, hopefully feeling more even now. And then shake that off. Okay, so from here, bend the right knee, draw the toes back towards the shin, and then we're going to bring that right foot across to the left side. So working into the outer right hip now, glute muscles a little bit more. And then here you've got lots of choices. So we are taking the left foot off the floor. Some people are going to be quite happy to reach through, hold on to the front of the shin, or you can hold behind the back of the thigh, or you could come back to your strap, loop that round. Or what I quite like to do, because I find my right leg tends to slip off, is I just use my left hand to hold it, and then I stretch my right hand through to the back of the thigh. So any of those are good. Key is you want to feel this in your right hip, right buttock area. And again, observe, what's the mind doing? Is it complaining? Is it happy? Does it like this stretch, dislike it? Can we just allow ourselves to be content in this moment? Now we're going to bring left foot back to the floor, keep the legs crossed. You can relax the arms to the sides, and then we'll a little lift at the hip, rotate the pelvis, and then we'll roll over to our left with the legs. But do try and keep both shoulders on the floor. If it feels strong, you could uncross the legs, make it a little bit gentler. Feeling that twist into the rib cage, lower back. And then let's breathe in, we'll come back to center. Uncross, re-straighten the back. So bend the left knee in, flex the foot, and then place that leg across the right side. And then your choice of how you want to grip, we're going to take that right foot off the floor and reaching through to what feels best. You can always hook with the strap as well. And is this hip different to the other side? Can we resist the urge to fidget? Just be with that moment of sensation that we're creating in the body. And then releasing that right foot back to floor, arms to sides. Lift the hips up, little rotation, and relaxing into our little twist. Steady, even breath. Okay, from here, release the legs. We're actually going to roll all the way over to the right. So coming on, two hands and knees. And if you want to put down something soft for your knees, grab a towel or a blanket and set that up. And we're coming into our little cat position. And from here, what we're going to do is turn and look to the right foot. We'll come back to center, and then we're going to turn and look to the left foot. So you can do this with the breath. We exhale to the right, inhale to middle, and exhale to the left, inhale to middle, and we'll keep going, and you can maybe make it a little bit more fluid. Relax so we get a nice side opening through the body. Awesome work. We'll come back to center, and then from here we're going to add a little bit extra of that. So we're going to inhale with the right leg back, and then as we exhale, bend the knee, keeping it up towards the shoulder. We're going to inhale, take it back, and then exhale up to the side. So I'm going to do this a few times. Couple more. Okay, last one. Squeeze, and let's come back down. So let's go over to our left. We're going to inhale, left leg back, exhale, up to the shoulder, keep going. All right, nearly done. Let's make this our last one. Squeeze and come back down. And if you need to give those wrists a little bit of a rest, just rotate and we'll come into a child. If you can get your hips all the way to the heels, awesome. I wish I could. All right, let's come back up. Now, if your wrists aren't happy, you could do this on your fists, but you might find that a little bit bouncy. Other choices, you could actually do this on your forearms as well. Otherwise, from our basic cat position, we're going to take our right leg straight back and then the left arm forwards with a little bit of lift or engagement through the lower abdominals there. So I'm keeping a neutral back. So I'm stretching away through the fingers and toes. And then we'll bring it back in. Left leg, right arm forwards, reaching out. So notice that my head is in line with my arm. I haven't dropped the head or looking up. Okay, bring that back in. This one's a little bit trickier. So we're going to take the right leg back and then right arm forwards. So resting on the same side. Okay, come it back in. Left leg. Transfer weight to right side, left arm up. So same leg and arm up in the air. And back in. Okay. You may find this next one easier or you may not. So we're going to be balancing on our left side again. We're going to take the right leg up. Bend the knee this time. Reach around with the right hand and maybe grab hold of the foot and open up to the side. And if you want, you could add a little push of the foot away from the hand. Okay, we'll let that go. So over to our left leg back, bend the knee, take that left hand off the floor, reach around, hold on to the foot or the ankle, little push up and away, and release. All right, from here, let's come into our child pose again. So hips down towards the heels. I've just locked out my knee, so I've got to release that before it can go anywhere. Oh. There we go. So let's go a little bit wider, working child pose. Big toes touch, knees out more towards the edges of the mat. And if you can, have the arms extended and allow the forehead to rest on the ground. If that's too strong, again, you could bend the elbows, rest the head. But I'm trying to bring my body down between the thighs. So a little bit more opening through the groin. Keep the elbows off the floor if you can. And relax the outer arms towards the floor. All right, let's come back up. Bring the knees back to hip width, and this time keep the hips over the knees. And arms are still extended forwards, so this is a little bit stronger. If possible, head resting on the floor, straight line from the hands to the hips. So not dropping into the back. If you find that's too strong for your shoulders, you could add some support for the head, and that's going to ease the shoulders and the neck off. right, let's bring that back in. And coming up onto the knees, let's just give those shoulders a nice little roll around. Okay, so we'll work into some lunging, and you might want to have a couple of bricks nearby. We're going to be stepping our right foot forwards first, big step, so that when I come down into it, I've got knee over ankle, but I've also got my hip in front of my left knee. Now you could bring the hands up on some bricks either side of the foot, or you might be quite okay to touch the floor. And we're just easing forwards with the hips. Those who are quite flexible in the knee joints, the hip joints, you want to make sure that you're not sort of dropping all the way into it. So I'm just adding a little bit of tension by pulling my thighs into my hip joints. So there's a little bit of support around the hip joints with the muscles around the ligaments. So I tend to do this, drop the head. Let's try and keep the head in line with the rest of the spine. So I've got my gaze slightly forwards. And then just finding that stillness. Now we'll be easing back, straightening that front right leg. So if it's not comfortable to stay with fingertips on the floor, you again might want to bring in support with the hands. If you've just got one brick, you could have that under the chest, and you can certainly come up as high as you like, but we want this right leg straight. So I'm lifting the toes, lifting the kneecap by firming up the thigh muscle. So another little hamstring glute stretch. And then we'll come forwards. And now what we're going to do is I've turned my right foot out to the corner of the mat here, and we're going to bring both hands, big toe side of the foot, and this is where some of you might again want some support for the forearms. So we're coming down with that right shoulder on the inside of the knee, and choices are either just softening the elbows, holding here, having a brick to support, and there's two heights that you can use. And then some of you might be okay to make your way all the way to the floor. So you find the level that you're comfortable with, and then we hold. We find, or we'll look for that stillness in the body. Still trying to keep my knee over my ankle. Focusing on my breath, keeping it smooth, keeping it even. Next breath in, we'll come up onto the hands. We're going to step back, have the knees, roughly hip width, and we'll do a little half plank. So bringing the shoulders over the wrists, straight line from the shoulders back to the hips there, a little lift through the belly. And then we'll ease all the way back into our child pose. This is just to relax the hip flexor. So whichever version of child you like. And breathing in, come back up to hands and knees. Okay, left foot up towards the hands. We're going to have hands either side of the left foot there. Moving into our open thigh hip flexor stretch. And remember, you can bring the hands up higher if you like for comfort. And that little bit of engagement, so thigh bone pulling into the hip joint. So we've got the support around the hips there. Relaxing into it. Try not to drop the head like I do. Now we're going to be easing back, straightening that left leg. So again, bring the hands higher up, draw back the toes. So if you find that you're sort of trying to touch the floor and you're really rounding into the back, support those hands a little higher and work on getting that length in the spine. That's probably going to serve you better than straining towards the floor. Now when we place the left foot down, We're now turning it off a little bit at the angle, and now both arms are on the big toe side of the foot as we ease deeper into our stretch. Maybe use a brick for the forearms, or if it's comfortable, you can come to the floor. And again, we need to be able to breathe comfortably. Check that there's no tension around the jaw. And as we hold and be still, observe those thought processes and whether they are helping us or hindering. Let's come back to hands, ease back, and then stepping all the way back, little half plank. So shoulders stacked over wrists if you can. Remember, you can take the wrists out of it. There's another option as well. And then easing back to child pose, your version. That's going to be comfy. And breathing in to come up. Okay, we're going to be working now into Uttanasana or chair pose. So if you've got a towel or blanket, let's just shift that off the mat to the side. And then curling your toes under. Walk the hands closer in. We're going to roll back onto the heels. Knees are nice and soft. Make sure the feet are parallel. And then sit back with the buttocks. And you can rest your forearms on your thighs, or placing the hands so we can come up a little bit higher. So not on the kneecaps, just on the belly of the thigh muscle there. And then lift the head, lift the chest. And we're just allowing that blood to slowly filter back down till we get rid of that sense of heaviness in the upper body. And then from here, let's bring the arms behind, open the chest a little bit more, and make sure that you're not tucking under. So I don't want to tuck under like this. I don't want to overarch into my back like this. I sort of want to lengthen away. So it's tiny, tiny little curve. Now we're going to bring the hands to the heart center. Lift the head, lift the chest. Still keep those knees bent. Watch that they're not collapsing out to the sides. And either keep the hands here or reach them forward, shoulder height, or maybe take them higher if that feels okay. And we're in our Uttanasana, our chair. So legs are working strong. Okay, from here, let's bring the arms down as we straighten the legs to come out and shake it off a little bit. So we're going to do that pose again. Let's come back to our hip width. And then from here, if we place the hands on top of the pelvis, I want you to think about presenting your bottom, your buttock flesh to the chair. So I don't want it sort of curling away from the chair. I want to lift it up and back. And so we sit down, shoulders back, and then you can choose your arm position that you're comfortable with, but relax your shoulders away from your ears. And then if you want to add a little extra, feel free to take your heels off the floor, coming onto the balls of the feet and the toes. If that's too much, put the heels back down. So watch that knee wobbling. Try not to let the knees go out. Maybe sit down a little bit deeper, maybe lift the heels a little bit higher. Are we still breathing? Feel that strength in the legs. Okay, we're going to push all the way up, breathe in. Let it go. And that's a nice little wake-up call for those thigh muscles. So a couple of standing postures. We're going to start with Parsvakonasana, angle pose. You could use a brick. We'll be doing the right side first. So this is my right foot. I've got my feet roughly in the middle of the mat. I'm putting the brick next to the ankle. And I've got a nice long stance. Check your left foot is slightly turned in. And then we're going to bend the right knee. and just check that the right knee points in line with, the middle toes. So if we put the hands again on top of the pelvis, you can feel that it's slightly turned off. That's okay, as long as we keep this knee in a good position. And then we'll breathe both arms out over the feet. Again, shoulders relaxed. We'll glide over the right leg. And choices are, you can rest here with the forearm on the thigh. You can rest this hand on the hip. From here, we're going to relax the shoulder back. Okay. Bring the elbow above the shoulder joint, and then we just straighten the arm up. So I don't want to be throwing the arm behind me. Then you've got the choice. You could slide the fingers down onto your brick, or you could go the other way behind and not have them resting on anything. That's a little bit stronger. So if it doesn't feel good on the back, always bring your support back. So this is just our first one. We're going to do this again. So work out what feels best. And then let's push to come back out through the legs. Relax. We're going to keep the legs as they are. If you want, you could go slightly longer. And this time when we go down, we're going to hold, but we're also going to add the top arm over the head for that full side extension. And then hopefully we can find a little bit of stillness while we're here in the pose. So bend the right knee. Inhale. Exhale, extend over. You choose your arm position. And then sweep the top arm over and across. Create that diagonal line. Check that the head's not dropped. So I'm lifting it towards my upper arm. You could look to the ceiling or straight ahead. And now we find that stillness in the pose. So it's strong. We need to be able to breathe. And can we just be? Now to come out, we'll sweep down, inhale, and relax. So you might want to walk your feet back in before we do our left side. A little shake out. If you like to use the brick, bring it over. And then we'll turn our left foot out, roughly middle of the mat. Big step back with the right. And that slight angle on the back right foot. So choosing whether you want the brick in front, behind, or not at all. We're doing this twice, remember? So first one, check the knee alignment. Let the hips turn off a little bit. Inhale out the arms, shoulders relaxed. Glide over the left leg. We're going to rest the forearm just to start with. Roll this shoulder back. So if we put the hand on the shoulder, roll it back, elbow to ceiling, and then arms straight up. Then choose if you want to slide to the front or slide behind. And we stay for a moment. Notice how it feels. Could be different this side. Maybe we need more support on this side. Let's breathe in, push with the legs to come out. Relax the arms. And we'll do it again. Maybe creep it out a little bit longer if you like. And this time we're going to be adding that top arm overhead. Okay, bend the front knee. From here, inhale out, gliding over, choosing your arm position, whichever one suits you. Sweep the top arm over and across. Lift the head to the top arm, don't collapse it. Press down through the whole foot, not just the front foot, the back foot. Now can we find a little bit of stillness? And just be in the pose. Sweep the arm down, strong exit, and walk the feet back in. Okay, loosen off, back to Uttanasana, even. Now we're going to add some twisting to this. So I like to use a brick for my bottom hand. And we're going to have to work on getting that long stance. So hip width distance now. I've got my left foot on my left side. I'm going to take a big step forwards with my right foot. And then from here, I'm actually going to creep it out a little bit more. Now you've got the choice. Personally, I like to let my back left heel come off the floor so I can get a better positioning of my hips, pelvis facing the top of the mat. But if you find you're too unstable, it doesn't feel good, you know, just go a little bit wider and put that back heel on the ground again. But try and have your toes pointing as much as you can to the top of the mat. Okay, so from here, we're going to keep the right hand up on the top here. We're going to take the left arm out. As we exhale, reach forwards. So front knees over ankle. I'm going to bring the hand down. I've just got the brick underneath my shoulder. You could also put your fingertips on the floor. And then we're going to lift the head, lift the chest and add a little twist. So we're turning to the right. So that's why in this position I like to have my left heel off the ground, reach back through the left heel. And then can we get this shoulder back again? So I'm going to release and roll my shoulder back, lean back a little bit, open that chest. Maybe take the top arm up if it feels okay. Breathe. Top arm back down. So we're going to face the floor. I find it easier to step forwards out of this one. So maybe if you can get the hands back to the ground, big step up, soft knees, roll it back up. And then we'll set up for our left side. So I'm going to have my right foot over to the right, not too far turned out. Big step forwards with the left. And then if possible, creep it forwards a little bit more. Bend that front knee. And then as I bring my hips around, I find rotating my back right heel off the floor is going to help with that. So I'm really trying to sink nice and deep. Left hand stays on the waist. We're going to take the right arm forwards. Nice deep breath in. On the exhale, reach forwards. Hand down either the brick or the floor. I've sort of got it underneath the shoulder joint here. And then I want to lift the head, lift the chest. As I turn to the left, I'm trying to relax my left shoulder back. Squeeze with the outer thighs and hips to the midline of the body. Reach through my right heel. Take the top arm up if it feels okay. Can we breathe? So it's strong, but we still want to find that sense of stillness once we're there. Top arm down, face the floor, and maybe step forwards. Roll it back up. Legs should feel like they've done a little bit of a workout. So good news, we're going to do it again and add a little bit extra. So we're going more into the twist if possible, which just means we're going to be changing the position of that bottom hand closer to our front foot. So let's go back, nice long position, right foot forwards. And I'm really trying to sink down, long and low. The more I can get this thigh parallel to the floor, the easier it's going to be for the upper body to twist. Okay, left arm out in front, breath in. Exhale, coming over. Now, choices. So I could just bring that brick in a little closer to my foot. I could also take it to the little toe side, and I could cross at my shin, which is what I quite like to do. Another way is to hook the whole arm to the outside. Your choice, whatever's comfortable. So right hand on the hip, lift, turn, rotate. A little bit squishier now. So I'm finding it harder to get my shoulder back now that I've got a tighter twist. And if I take my arm up, it sort of gets stuck. So I'm better off just leaving it down here or reaching it back there. But if you can get that full lift, turn, rotation, arm up, awesome, go for that. Or you can always come back to big toe side of foot. So we're turning, rotating, a little bit deeper, a little bit more twisty. We're going to come back out, face the floor. But this time, let's come back to a downward dog. So hands to the ground, big step back. Goodness me, maybe walk it out a little bit. Oh, I can hear my knees crunching. And then from here, we're going to walk it forwards, come back up, and prepare for the other side. So I'll bring my brick nearby for easy reach. This time it is left foot forwards. So big step out. I'm using both sides of my mat. And then I'm sinking down. So now my right heel's come off the floor. From here, right arm out in front. Exhale, extend. So you can either bring the hand close to big toe side of foot. You can go to little toe side of foot. You can go to floor. You could hook that whole arm to outer knee, whatever works for you. And then we're going to lift, turn, rotate, relax that left shoulder back. Keep reaching through the right heel. Maybe take the top arm up, maybe not. Keep breathing. Legs are strong, a little bit harder to focus on that stillness now. We'll come back down, face the floor. Let's go for another little walk out. Downward dog if we can. And then giving the legs a rest, both knees to ground. Let's come down and rest into your favourite child pose. And come back up. Okay, so we have another standing pose. This one's balanced, Warrior 3, which we did last week or the week before. And you've got the choice of using the wall. So we'll make our way back up to stand. If you are using the wall, you want to get that half dog position. Okay, so I'm trying to get my hips over my knees, and we'll be taking legs back. You could also use a chair or a bench. Otherwise, you can try it freestanding, and we'll have the feet hip width to start off with. So for those using the wall, just come to an upright position facing the wall, and then keeping the hands here on the pelvis, drawing up strong through the legs, we'll fold halfway. And just seeing if it's possible to get to this halfway position with a straight spine. So if you are really tight in these hamstrings, you might find that you start to round. It's pulling down those buttocks, lower back. So for you guys, you might need to bend the knees a bit and then work at getting that back straight. But if you can keep everything nice and strong, awesome. Okay, so from here, let's take the right arm forwards. So if you're using the wall, hand can be on the wall. We'll bring that back. Let's take the left arm forwards. Okay, bring that back so you notice the legs have to work strong. Both arms forwards. This is a lot tougher. Really press down through the feet, draw up the kneecaps. Okay, hands down, bend the knees, scoop it up. So you may feel that strong work in your buttocks, certainly in the back of the legs. So that's half the pose with the arms forwards. The other one is adding the leg behind. So for those who are not using the support, we're going to keep the hands here on top of the pelvis. If you do want more support, have both hands on the wall and your hips stacked over your knees. So let's come back to a half forward bend. Breathing in. Exhale, fold forwards, that halfway position. And then keeping the hands where they are for those freestanding, we're going to transfer weight to right leg and then take the left leg straight back. So everyone's got their left leg back now. And see how easy it is to lift that left hip. So we're going to try and release the left hip down, draw up through that outer right leg. Now take the left arm forwards, maybe right arm forwards, and now we're in Warrior 3. Okay, bring it back in, come back up. Strong pose, requires a lot of effort. Notice I'm not asking you to find the stillness in this one. So, halfway position. Let's come down. We're going to transfer weight to left leg this time. So keep the hands where they are. Take the right leg back without lifting that right hip too much. So toes point to ground. Reach the right arm forwards See if you can take the left arm forwards and keep breathing. And then we'll bring the arms back in and foot back down, and we'll all come up to stand. Okay, so from here, soft knees. Let's go for a nice little twist. So that reason I didn't ask you to find stillness while we hold that balance is because it's pretty hard. The whole body's constantly adjusting to keep the balance. But where was the mind? So quite often when we do these stronger balance poses, the mind's got to concentrate so much that you can't think of anything else. It's focused on that one thing. So it creates stillness in the mind that way. All right, let's come back to our mat. So we'll come into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. We're again going to fold from the hips. You can have the hands on the thighs if you like. And then we're slowly going to ease down. Now, if you need to bend your knees, that is okay. Maybe you might be fortunate enough to reach the floor. If not, bend the knees anyway. And from here, we're going to be moving towards our downward dog. So let's just walk those hands forwards, stretch it out, reach back through the heels, relax those shoulders. Now here, hopefully we can find the ability to be still. Relax, steady breath, soft face. And then we'll take both knees to floor and releasing back to our child. All right. Now, we're going to do plank pose and a couple of options. So we've already done our little half plank here, so you could stick with that one. Or if you don't like the wrists in the full plank, you could come down and do your forearm plank here. Otherwise, straight arms, straight legs, and we'll all come into this together. So toes under, breathing in, and as we exhale, let's bring the shoulders over the wrists, create a straight line from the head and shoulders all the way back through to the heels. So I'm lifting through my belly, my thighs, but I'm trying to extend the buttock flesh back into the heels. So I don't want to kick up, I don't want to drop down. I want that nice, straight, steady line, actively pushing the floor away. And then we'll come down, we'll have a rest. And if you want, release those wrists if you were doing that full version. Now we're going to take this into upward dog. So you do have to be really careful with your back in this posture. You've got to keep that strong support that we just needed for our full plank as you go into up dog with the bend in the back. Modified version. So if you prefer to support your back more, half plank, and then you can move through into a cobra. Now you can keep it a very low cobra, or you can hold a little bit higher if that feels okay with the back, but don't forget to have that lift through the belly in the posture so you're supporting that back. Forearms, a little bit tricky. You can't really do up dog with forearms, so you may want to stick with maybe a nice gentle sphinx. Otherwise, we're going to come from full plank into our full upward dog. So let's tuck the toes, reach back through the heels, full plank or half plank. And then from here, as I exhale, I roll forwards and move the chest through the arms, keep that lift through the thighs and belly. So I'm not letting them collapse to the floor unless the legs are already on the floor. And then we're going to lift up and away, back to a downward dog or a child pose if the knees are on the ground. So we're going to try that one again. Coming into your half plank, your sphinx. Let's breathe into full plank. Exhale into up dog, keeping that lift, shoulders down and back, shoulder blades hugging onto ribs. Push the floor away. Up and back to downward dog. Okay, knees to floor. Have another rest. And again, release those wrists if you feel the pressure's too much build up into them. Best bit here, we find that stillness. Okay, so from here, we're coming over onto our backs for bridge, either a brick or you could roll up a towel. What we're going to do is put it between the thighs. And when we do, that sort of profile is fine for between the thighs. So inner thighs rather than knees. So let's lie down on our backs. Knees are bent, feet are hip width. Grab your rolled up towel or your brick and place it between the legs there. Now the intention is not to crush that support between the legs. The idea is to wake up the inner thigh muscles and think of drawing that brick towards the groin. So let's have the arms down beside the body. As we breathe in, we're going to press through the feet, lift the buttocks, lift through the spine, and we hold. Now you can feel that brick between the inner thighs. So I want you to imagine those inner thighs are drawing that brick up towards the groin. So these muscles help to keep the knee joints in line with our toes. And they can get a little lazy because these outer thighs tend to take over. So this is just a nice way to bring awareness to them. From here, we'll roll back down. Take the brick away. And we're going to do that again with that sense of using those inner thigh muscles. So the brick won't be there, but imagine it is still there and we're trying to lift it up. So once more, press down through the feet, lift the hips, keep the knees in line with the toes, and imagine drawing up those inner thighs as if the brick was there. Make sure you've got some space in the front of the throat, the back of the neck. And perhaps press through the feet, get a little bit more lift. You could hold the edges of the mat. You could also interlock the hands underneath the body. So we get those shoulders under a little bit more. Open the chest. Find that stillness. Breathe into the belly. And when you're ready to release the arms and just gently, vertebrae by vertebrae, roll back down. Once you've got the whole back on the floor, relax. Maybe even let the legs out to the sides. Pardon me. And just enjoy that sense of stillness now. So by that effort, we have created space for the body to want to be relaxed and still. Okay, a little twist to finish off with. So once more, bending the knees up. Left leg just relaxed over the right leg there, both arms out shoulder height. And again, I like to lift the hips up a little bit. Pivots are more on my right buttock. And then relax both legs over to the left. Either looking to the ceiling or you can look down the left arm. And now we're looking for a sense of surrender. Surrendering to gravity. Releasing to the floor. Next breath in, we'll make our way out. So uncross the legs, realign the back, right leg over left, lift the hips up, little scoot with the hips, and releasing over to our left. Nice and soft. Perhaps finding some of that stillness. Next breath in, we'll make our way back out. Uncross, realign the spine. And then we'll take both knees in towards the chest and give ourselves a little massage. And really listen, what does your back ask for? What feels good? That's what you want to be doing. Maybe there's a special spot that is calling out for attention. Okay, and release. So, time to get something warm on. We're going to do a little bit of breath awareness while we're lying down today, and then we'll move into the relaxation. So set yourself up with blankets, bolsters, whatever it is you need to be comfortable. And then once you've got all of that, we'll go deeper. So you can have the knees bent. I always like to have something underneath the knees. Maybe something under the head, maybe legs up on a chair. And then once you've settled down into your comfortable position, come back to that awareness of breathing in. Notice that little pause at the end of the inhale. And then be conscious of the exhale and that little pause at the end of the exhale. So keep following those 4 parts of the breath and not forcing those pauses between the inhale and exhale, but certainly being conscious of them. You might find that they naturally extend. And each time you come to a pause between the breaths, notice the stillness in the body. So the breath brings movement. The pauses of the breath provide little brief moments of stillness. And in those small little moments of stillness between the breaths, the mind has the opportunity to also become still. And then letting go of that awareness of breath. And imagine yourself in a park. It's very early in the morning. The sun is yet to rise. And the park is deserted except for yourself. It's a very beautiful park, calm and peaceful. You walk across the wet, springy grass. And you listen to the birds as they start to wake up and create their song to welcome in that new day. And there's all sorts of gardens of flowers. The ones in front of you are roses of many colours. You see yellow, pink, red, purple and white. And you can smell the fragrance of the roses and see those early morning dewdrops on the petals. And near the rose garden is a fish pond. You can see goldfish swimming in and out amongst the lily pads. And you watch their graceful movements, flashes of sunlight shining off their scales. You start to walk through the trees. Lots of beautiful trees, wide spreading branches. Some are tall. And then you notice a clearing between the trees up ahead. And in the clearing is a small temple with an aura of light around it. You go to the door of the temple and it's cool and dim inside. And you notice on the walls are pictures of great saints and people that you look up to. You decide to enter the temple and sit down on the floor. You close your eyes and become still. A sense of deep peace and harmony envelops you as the sounds outside fade into the distance. And you continue to sit in that stillness, absorbing the peace and calm of that special place. Tapping into that inner stillness that you have inside. arms around you. Conscious of the sound of your breath, sounds in the room, sounds that are outside the room. Gently bringing movement to the hands and to the feet, into the arms and the legs. I'm just allowing the body to extend and stretch in any way that it's comfortable to do so. Take your time, moving from stillness to action. And when it feels right, rolling to the right hand side. And then finding a comfortable seated position. So I don't have the author of today's quote, but it says, "The moments of stillness provide the quiet space where we can feel rather than think about how we feel." So the mind can think things, but the body feels. So bringing the hands together into Anjali Mudra and Namaste. Have an excellent rest of your day or evening, and thank you. I hope you enjoyed the class.